Welcome back, and as you might know, I am on my quest to find the worst plane to fly as a fighter in all of War Thunder, and to no one's surprise, I stumbled on the B-57B. Now, I thought initially that this thing was actually gonna be kind of okay. If you have flown the Canberra Mark 6, you know that it's super maneuverable. It's not as fast, but you know, you have 2000 rounds of Hispanos, it's very maneuverable, it's basically an oversized meteor. And I was expecting this thing to be a little bit of a watered down version of that, but I wasn't quite ready for just how shit this thing actually was. Now, this is the only dogfight that I'm gonna be winning in this thing. Is it because of me? Is it because of the enemy? Well, it's both, because the enemy really doesn't have to do many things right in order to absolutely shit in your mouth. This thing is not very fast, it doesn't turn particularly well, it doesn't hold to its speed whatsoever. You can't really aim it very well because it's the size of a house, and quite frankly it also just handles like one. Just the size is a little bit of an issue, but it also has a shitload of inertia. When you start touching your controls, it takes a little bit to start going, and once it starts going, it takes a little bit to stop going. It feels a little bit like playing with a shitload of mouse acceleration. And on top of the fact that it already just handles like an oil tanker, even when it does start going, you are just making an absolute perfect recipe for a painful experience. Now, I am actually going to rank this one below the F-84F, and I heard some of your requests, and this thing, as of right now, I haven't touched a worse one yet, is definitely in the #1 spot, or perhaps at the number 900 spot. I'm not sure how many planes there are in War Thunder, but as of right now, this is by far the worst thing that I have played. And for everyone that's requesting stuff like the Mysteers, the Heinkel 162, for example, these planes are not nearly bad enough to make it on this list. We are looking at planes that have no redeeming qualities, and as of right now, the only redeeming quality that this thing has, quite frankly, are just the guns. You can argue the airspan, but in reality, the enemy is gonna be above you by the time you reach them in the middle of the game, because essentially every match is going to be 8.7, 9.0, and very often even 9.3, and there is very little you can do here, especially against the R60s. The A9Bs are already bad enough, and you can say that the guns are the redeeming quality, and that is gonna make it a bit of a frag bus. Yeah, it's a bus, but it doesn't really frag. Now, sure, on occasion, like the games in here, I'm gonna have like 3 or 4 aces for you. It can peak. Once everything goes right, everyone ignores you, no one pulls out of the head-on, they want to get pregnant, you know, then you're gonna get some kills, and in that sense, in those games, this will outperform the F-84F a little bit, but it's mainly down to how stupid your enemies are. The F-84F is somewhat workable. I will rate the suffering experience to like a 9.5 to 9 out of 10. Whereas this thing, unless you get that 1 in 10 game, the suffering experience is about a 10 out of 10. And the only thing that makes it a 9.5 are shots like these. This only happens with the M39s. 50 cals are never going to give you those kills, and in that sense, this thing was a little bit more enjoyable when it did work, because it's just even stupider to fly, it's even more funny when you kill people. The F-84F is just kind of so bad and mediocre that it just... there is really nothing about it that makes it fun. Whereas this thing, you are flying a massive hauling bomber with 420 mils, and I mean, that's really the only redeeming factor. Now let's take a look at the gameplay in the background. I want to portray properly just how ass this thing actually is. Head-ons are your bread and butter. I am going to be using stealth. Why? I don't want people to dodge, because when they do dodge, I don't kill them. They turn around and I'm instantly dead. So we go head on with the second guy. We miss all our shots, and now I think I'm dead, because if this Saab 105 turns around at all, I am going to die. Now luckily for us, he's actually going to keep on flying straight for just a little bit longer, so I'm just going to ignore him. But then I noticed he actually did pull in, and now I have to go head on with him yet another time. I'm not able to get into the head-on, so instead I'm just going to pull up over his nose, and I'm going to try to get behind him. Now luckily, again, he doesn't go for us, he doesn't actually turn around, but this time I am expecting him to do it anyway, because that's what he just did. But I think he was just bombing, and that's why he actually just goes back to the runway. Now I'm never going to catch him, I don't have to commit any time or effort to him, it's not going to happen. So I'm just gonna dive to the deck a little bit and greed for the IL-28. I want to get kills in it. I tried very varied playstyles, if you can call it that, because even if you're aggressive or if you're passive, at the end of the day you're at the mercy of your enemy, and there's just very little you can do. It's a boat. And the thing that I recommend you to do is just try to get as many kills as possible without a singular care for your life. The longer you try to stay alive, it doesn't really matter. You are not going to prolong your life unless it's a down tier like right here, like an R2Y2, 829, MiG-9, Saab 105. You can somewhat run away from them right now. So as of right now, I might be able to get one head on and then I die. So I'm not going to take that. But if I see like 4 people right next to each other in a Congo line, I will go in there and just full commit head on them. Why? Because I need to get something done. Head-ons are the only thing that I can do unless it's a third party. And even with a third party, if I dive on someone and I miss my shots, if I try to turn around again and try to kill them, very often they'll switch targets to you. Because they see a massive bomber, they see a free kill. And they will now focus you down and you will get 0 kills. Honestly, 10 out of 10 experience on the suffer skill. So we break off and in the down tier you're actually decently quick. You are quicker than the Canberra Mark 6, you do have better guns, but you have half the ammo and they are in a very awkward spot, which really doesn't help. But if you try spraying people down, you actually kind of shoot this death cloud at them. Don't be too conservative with your ammo. Yes, you have 1200 rounds, but you need to at least use half of them to just kind of spray in that general direction. And I don't care if it's like a guy that's styled out or like a super free kill like this MiG-9 like right here. I'm still going to hold the trigger down somewhat because I need to make sure that people die when I take a shot at them. If you miss and you have to turn around, you will just sacrifice so much energy and position that you only have very little of to begin with. Now I just pitch up right here, I kill the Saab 105 because he's going very slow himself, MiG-9 directly below me. And I had more energy than him, I'm going straight vertical and keep in mind the MiG-9 is 7.3, this is a full down tier. If you run into anything else, a 7.7, LA200s, MiG-15s, you know, Meteor Mark 8s, even at, what is it, 7.3, the Su-11, 163, Key 200, basically any plane that is faster than you, you can't really do anything against. And if they have missiles, it's even worse, that's just even less that you can do. And again, suicidal head-on, we take his plane apart. And we are going to be getting the kill for that in due time. And that's going to be ace number 2, I think. And then let's show you a full game. Yes, I bomb at the start. I just kind of ripple all my bombs off on the first group. Just to get some RP in. Because the stock grind on this thing is even worse. Because now you have the same performance. Except you have 50 kills. And with 50 kills you are not able to kill people very quickly. Very reliably. Because you need somewhat of a sustained burst on them. And if you have been listening to what I've been saying, well, I want to spray the 20 mils because I need to make sure that I hit more rounds or I just hit something. With 50 kills, it's gonna be an absolute problem. Canberra Mark 6, if I had missed that shot and he had gone for the kill on me, I would have been dead. Also, you see me run the HVAR rockets. Those are flares essentially because, well, a missile will absolutely ruin your day. Red tops, aim 9Bs. R3s, it doesn't really matter. You are too slow, you don't turn well enough, and very often you are going to be at medium to high altitude, especially at the start of the game, which means that the missile performance, relatively to you, is going to be even better. Not that it really matters, because the missile performance is good enough even when you are at 0 meters, when you're going 1000. You probably rip your wings off at 1000, but you get what I am trying to say. I see the E10 dart and the Super Mystere trying to go vertical after my teammate, so we take the Super Mystere completely apart. We look behind us to see if we need to go head on with someone, and then we see the E10 dart turn around. Now it's the 4M. Flight performance of this one is slightly better than the Super 10 dart, but you know, it's still in the 10 dart, and if he plays it right, I can't really touch him. He has a very good climb rate, but if he tries to reverse me, or if he tries to turn with me and I'm behind him, he actually becomes a pretty easy kill because he loses a lot of energy. He becomes a sitting duck very quickly, but he's not doing that. He's keeping his speed, he's straight lining it, and because of that, I'm never going to touch this guy. So I just kind of peel off and we go for the R2Y2. Now in the background you can see that my absolutely fantastic squad, consisting out of F-84Fs and B-57s, is putting in absolute work. We were trying to make a shit mix of a squad here. It's essentially a 2-man squad if you look at the effectiveness of it. But we were trying to see which one was more painful. And it just seems like the B-57 on average got a few more kills. But the F-84Fs just survived way more games. Because they're actually, well, they actually handle somewhat like a plane. Now the Super E10 dart, or the E10 dart here, is doing a super job, is what I should say. He's trying to go vertical, he's trying to loop, but you know, this thing loses more speed than the E10 dart, so I'm just gonna sit on it permanently. And if you go slow enough, even with this plane, I'm gonna have a pretty easy time just gunning you down. Now we see a MiG-15 flying overhead. I also see the K-Saber on the deck. The MiG-15 is going way too fast. I didn't really think that it was a good idea to go for him. I didn't think it was going for me either, so I decided to go straight for the F-86K. Unfortunately, the MiG-15 is actually turning around for us, so I need to be somewhat careful. I told you to be suicidal. I didn't mean in the sense that you need to get people on your 6 for free, because that is actually suicidal and you're not going to get anything done. Try to get a pot shot in, don't manage to connect it. And if I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of hard to commentate on this plane because you just kind of flow with the battle. You are water, you are essentially a passenger in your own plane, and you're just kind of spectating. Now you are a spectator with a 9mm and sometimes you are able to shoot people in the back of their skull. But other than that, it's not really up to you. It's 95% aim. And then the rest is like hoping that your teammates kind of fly in front of you, they bait people, and then you just kind of hope that on top of that, the enemies don't focus you down, because you are a B-57, and a B-57 is a juicy kill. And when enemies see a juicy kill, especially in something like a 15, then you just die, unless you are Mr. Sabyamar and you just kind of pull straight in front of me and don't dodge my guns at all. That is going to be kill number 4, and we are going to just go head on with the last guy here, to collect our 5th one. And the only reason I'm showing you these games is because they are aces. And trust me, I did a lot of games. I got about 90 kills in the thing. And you're only about to see 20 kills. So you do the math why I cut out so much. Most of it just really isn't interesting at all. And I don't think that these games are super interesting or that they portray the plane very well, because it doesn't. If you want to see how the plane performs and how it feels to fly very often, I'll present you this game right here. Now we are climbing straight in. This was my second game in the vehicle, so I wasn't actually completely sure how to fly it yet. I wasn't sure how it was gonna fare, because in the first game I just got killed in the head on as I was AFK. So this is essentially the first game that I actually did, that I actually played. So we climb in, we drop our bombs, and now we are looking to go head on with people. Because, you know, I have 420 mil, so that seems like the smart thing to do. I'm still running tracers. We go head on, we take his plane apart, and we switch on over to the IL-28. Now I keep looking to the left to make sure that there is no entire enemy team coming for me in a second here, because I am spotted. I am the only person that they want to see, and they are probably going to run me down, and they're probably going to get a pretty decently easy kill. And there it is. The first 2 Vautours. And Vautours will also focus you down, because they know that I am also a bomber. They know that they are gonna have a hard time killing fighters, so when they see a free bomber kill, they will go for you. And they're actually pretty damn annoying, just because they are so damn fast. So we go for the IL-28 next. We try to kind of finish him off. Don't really know why exactly, I just didn't want him to land. And here comes the Vautour duo trying to get a free kill on me. So we pitch on over their noses, and they just kind of fly away. Sap on a 5 coming in. Luckily not going for us. And the Vautour notices that I'm now within that turning circle. And we are now stuck going 500 speed. Which is nowhere near enough. Now we're going to dive away for a little bit. Pick up some speed. My suicidal arc has ended for a little bit. Because I have a F40 behind me. And I wasn't actually too suicidal at this point. I was trying to actually survive. Trying to get like actual fights, but the longer it took, the more I realized it wasn't going to happen. So I'm here actually going to be very defensive against everyone, and I'm going to show you just exactly why it doesn't work. Yes, we are going to survive. Yes, we're going to have impact, I guess, but man, is it rough. Now I wasn't sure if that was the one with the missiles, so I just shot the rockets off anyway. I had 8. I didn't really feel like I had to spare them. Vautour overshoots. He's gonna end up kissing the ground. There we go. And we now break off to run away from the F40. That's already, you know, running us down. And the F40, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I still had this hope that it was gonna feel just a little bit like the Canberra Mark 6. And luckily, one of my squad mates actually flies behind me, instantly gets clapped, but he did distract the F40 for just that little bit, so that I have a little bit more breathing room. Now, does this mean that I am now safe and that I can run away, get energy, and then engage the F40? No, definitely not. He is now gonna turn back in, but he gave us a little bit of room, so now we're able to actually go head on with him. Keep in mind, we're only going about 600. So I'm just gonna spray at him. There's too many 50 cals in the air, so I recommit after dodging. And here we go. Now, yes, it's an F40. Yes, it's not a winnable fight, but look at what he does. He just kind of pulls behind me. He pulls a massive lag line, and he just goes vertical. So I'm just gonna fly away. There's no reason for me to contest that right now. So instead, I'm gonna fly towards my team and see if they can maybe help me out. And if you know me, you know that I try to fight on my own most of the time, because I like to have a fun fight. And this thing, I'm not even thinking about it, because it's not gonna work regardless of what I do. Now the F40 is running me down, so I can do two things. I can run away and delay the inevitable, or I can deny him the angle and try to just kind of pull in. But I'm going 500. Luckily he can't aim. We go straight vertical and we get the shot. Nope, we are flying a boat. But, you know, when the F40 inevitably tries to do a split S, he does a very smart thing. I should pay my actors more, man. They make it very convincing. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.